So I've had a backlog of videos from you guys from the Hot Topics channel on my Discord. But yeah, I've had a backlog of videos that I've been wanting to get through from you guys. And I saw this one that was interesting from a small channel. And actually, when I clicked on this video, I think it only had 40,000 views. And I've been sitting on it for about like a week and a half. And it says, it's nice opinion, a YouTuber gave it to you. And I thought this was really, really interesting because there is this weird stigma that's like started to develop around like talking points, and like depending on who talks about it or where it comes from, you just like kind of write it off, even if there's a good point to be made. And I don't know what it is. I don't know if it's just like the internet just kind of being tired of like fatigued, right? Like if it's just fatigued from always arguing and always having shit going on or what. But I thought this would be an interesting one to give a watch to. And also the person who submitted it said a little something about it, but I forget what they said and it got my attention. So fuck it, let's give it a watch.
Attention. If you or a loved one has been shown this image, you may be eligible for financial compensation.
Wait. Oh, whoever was at, I didn't see that. Was Last of Us finished? Okay, so for those that are curious about the Last of Us playthrough, I know I stream them on YouTube and then like there'll be like an edited version that goes out later. The reason why the finality doesn't exist anymore is because it actually got DMCA hard copyright striked. So sometimes what ends up happening is you can be copyright striked and it will just like yoink the monetization, but the video still exists. That one got a full takedown for the end game music that's in the game. That literally got taken down for playing the game. Is probably one of the reasons why gaming streaming on YouTube is ass. It's why a lot of people don't, or have always been resistant to doing streaming on YouTube unless it was paid back in the day when they did contract stuff and then multi-streaming. I like multi-streaming. Multi-streaming is actually nice, but I like it because I'm a like Overwatch rivals, right? Like you don't have to worry about that type of stuff. But any type of like story-based game, if there's any music in it or anything like that, even if you're playing the game, which falls under fair use to my knowledge, they don't give a fuck. They just hit it. And like the only way you really fight that is like an actual, you either have to fight with YouTube or you fight like an actual legal battle. And so a lot of times it's just not even worth it. So if you're curious why it doesn't exist, that's why it doesn't exist anymore. So sorry. All right, let's roll.
Attention. If you or a loved one has been shown this image, you may be eligible for financial
That's a cute opinion. Did a YouTuber give it to you?
compensation.
I have not seen that image.
This is a rare image linked to ego crippling, embarrassment, and getting ratioed. You may have been exposed to this image on YouTube, Reddit, and even Twitter. Please don't wait. Call 444 for a free reality check. So the other night, 2 months ago, this video's been on my back.
Chad, have you ever seen that before? I've never seen it.
I was playing Marvel Rivals with one of my cohorts in a Discord call, and I stated how I really liked Black Panther, but I didn't like how he isn't a very good character in-game, in which they replied by saying they didn't like the Black Panther movie, and I simply said,
wait, I didn't know this had a Rivals tie-in.
well, did you watch it? They did not watch it. And then inspiration struck. You have no doubt seen this edited image from Spider-Man before. I know that because I literally just showed it to you. Keep up. The original line reads, "That's a cute outfit. Did your husband give it to you?" Immediately started this video with the homophobia. At least it's kind of funny. And the altered one being, "That's a cute opinion. Did a YouTuber give it to you?" But why does this image exist? Most of you dungeon crawlers will probably recognize this as a reaction image. When you don't want to actually formulate an argument but still want to be correct online, you can throw one of these below whoever you're attacking and immediately turn them into a straw man and you as the always correct base Chad that you are. Throughout the years,
I've actually never thought about it that way in my entire life. That is what it is. Huh.
Years of the internet, dozens of reaction images have been created to all suit different types of niches. See something that makes you a little upset? Boy, is there a variety of funny images to choose from. See something that makes you happy? Someone's art you wish you could make out with? Something that gives you disgust? These basic emotions have no end to how different reaction images can represent them. But then we start getting a little bit more specific with reaction images that can really only fit specific interactions. This image of Gustavo from Breaking Bad saying, "I saw what you deleted." You're never going to guess what scenario that would be used in. Did somebody see your post and make it about them? Here is a very specific image of Bugs Bunny. You get the gist. I think the only people who don't understand the concept of
Dude, am I old? I've never seen any of these. Have you?
a reaction image is my 65 plus audience. And our friend the Spider-Man image here is one of those incredibly niche ones. But despite how incredibly specific it is, I see it used way more than you would think. But how is that? Why would somebody else just steal the opinion of some random YouTuber? You really think someone would do that? Go on the internet and tell lies? The answer is yes, of course, or else the image wouldn't exist. But why are so many people nowadays just taking the word of YouTubers as fact? I definitely feel like there's a lot of factors going into this, but I think one one of the most prevalent ones is every person with no attention span's favorite pastime, the multi-hour YouTube video essay. Just don't look at my channel if you wouldn't mind. You won't find anything that invalidates my next point, trust me, bro. Have you ever been in that situation where you just hate having to go without entertainment for half an hour while you complete some menial task? A YouTube video essay is sure to fill that void.
I do that with Wolfie videos for Pokemon. They're like 5 hours fucking long. It's great.
Most video essays that focus around some type of media like shows, movies, games are usually of the comprehensive review sort, going over every little nook and cranny of whatever they're discussing. But regardless of their time, usually falling somewhere shorter on the length of whatever is being discussed. So a lot of the time, people who are only half interested in what is being discussed will watch these and internalize them as their own opinions, without actually going out and watching or experiencing the source material. We all know that.
That is true, but like, couldn't you say that about like movie reviewers? Like people go watch a movie and they review the movie and then they like give like a 2 or 3 paragraph summary of like why they liked it or why they didn't like it. And then people be like, yep, that makes sense. You know, like, is that necessarily a bad thing? Because objectively in life, you should always form your own opinion. You should always do your own research. You should always take time to look into things yourself. However, we only have so much time in our day. At some point you hit information overload, right? If you find someone that you trust and you're like, yeah, this person, we seem to have similar views on many things. Like they're not always going to be a hit, but like a lot of times they're very close, right? I don't think it's a crime to be like, hey, you know, I don't have time to look into this one thing. How is it? And someone's like, yeah, it's not very good. Okay, cool. And like, if you don't think you do that on a daily basis, you're wrong, right? Like you could say that with like coworkers, right? Like you could say like, let's say someone brought some like a fucking cake to work, right? And it's like, oh guys, it's so-and-so's birthday. Go get a cake, slice of cake in the break room. And like, it's on the other side of the building. And like you say your coworker who already went down is like, hey, is it worth going? And you're like, nah, an ass. And like, oh, okay. And it's like not worth the walk. I'm not going down there. Screw that. Like you asked them for their opinion. They gave it. It might have been the most delicious cake on the planet. But people do it all the time. You do it in your normal life and you don't even think about it, right? For the exact reason we trust professionals to give us professional opinions. I think the issue is that people don't consider YouTuber or Twitch streamer a validated professional occupation. That's an interesting one. I mean, but that's the thing though. You can't say a rocket scientist is not a professional because all rocket scientists are qualified and professionals. They did the work to get there, other than a very small, like 1%, maybe somewhere like outlier nepotism. YouTuber, on the other hand, could mean tons of people, right? And so anyone on the planet could be a YouTuber. You know what's funny? Interestingly enough, there's been a new public opinion on like streamers in general. Like people think like I saw it in Rivals a lot, where people are like streamers ruined Rivals, and I think I understand what they meant, but people just don't know how to articulate it well. People think streamer means somebody who streams. That's not what a streamer is. And I mean this with all love in my heart. Just because somebody streams, that doesn't mean they're a streamer. Hear me out. If somebody is playing games with their stream on to no viewers, trying to clip farm, and trying to like make content, they're trying to be a streamer, but that doesn't mean they're a streamer. When people were getting mad saying like streamers are ruining games, it's like they're mad at the people that are hard rage baiting, trying to like get people's attention. They're trying to hard clip farm. They're trying to like do all of these things. That is different than an established streamer or content creator who just plays the game and like talks about it or does these other things. It's like these smaller people that are trying to get in that are like way over the top because they can't conceptualize why those people are successful at what they do. So they're trying to mimic it in their own way. It's weird. So basically where I was trying to get at with this is the reason why I think that is that you're right with that, but also like I can see their point is any dumbass can pick up a camera and be a YouTuber. Not any dumbass can go in and be a rocket scientist. Like if someone's a rocket scientist, you got to take what they say legitimately, but like anyone could be a YouTuber. So like what's your qualification, you know? So I get it.
That one person who watched a CinemaSins video on a movie and immediately wrote it off as sucking, despite their entire job being needed.
Why gatekeep the streamer? I'm not trying. You can do whatever you want. No one's gatekeeping it from you. Like gatekeeping is me keeping you from being able to do it. I'm explaining to you the difference though between someone who happens to stream I'll give you a good example. If somebody streams to 0 viewers, but streams every day, right? And they go to someone who it's their literal full-time job to stream every day, right? And that's what they do. They've made a living off of it. And they come into them and they go, well, as a streamer, I disagree with you because of these reasons. Are you actually a streamer though? Or are you just a gamer, someone who's playing games who just happens to stream at the same time? Because like, you're really like, you're not there yet, right? Like, no one says you can't. You will if you, one, get a little lucky. Two, grow outside of just streaming, right? Like, no one's keeping you from doing it. Are they both equally talented? Well, you never know. Talent is also subjective. You're missing the professional part of the title there. I guess, yeah. I guess the professional part could probably be the thing that differentiates it. It's an interesting one, but I get the point though. I understand, but I think that's why you're probably right with they won't take it seriously, and I don't blame them for it. You actually don't blame them at all.
Needlessly nitpicking something for the sake of comedy. Now, why would somebody do this? Who would just want to steal somebody else's opinion and run with it? The answer is a lot of people. You see, when a lot of these videos can reach into the several hour mark, most just go off and assume that the video was well researched without fact checking everything. I mean, if it's that long, it's gotta be right. Nobody would just go on the internet and tell lies, right? Honestly, that isn't an invalid opinion to have. Who would be so dedicated to a topic but somebody who is dedicated to a topic? If you are passionate about something to a degree of making a video that's several hours long about it, you must know what you're talking about, right? Here is the most popular video on my channel. It is 4.5 hours long, covers the entirety of Red vs. Blue, and here is everything I got wrong. I incorrectly stated the game currently on screen is Doom, when in fact it is the Bungie game known as Marathon. This character here goes unnamed for a while, but later gets named Kakaina, which isn't brought up into one of the final seasons of the show, so I just say she's never named. I falsely state that the helmet muffle effect layered over all of the dialogue in the show is because they had bad microphones, when in reality one of the voice actors just did all of the recording over the phone, and that's why they did it that way.
I can't tell if this is bait off the Marathon one.
The different AI in the show have key personality traits that they represent, which I got most of incorrect. I said that the same writer for the first 13 seasons left at season 10, and probably another dozen mistakes I just forgot about. But this video is so long. What do you mean I got
the old Marathon game? Okay.
So much wrong.
I know it was an old one.
Sure, it was long, but it was poorly researched, so length doesn't really equate to anything.
RVB is the best and peak YouTube content. Yeah, I agree with you. You had to be there though. I feel like you had to be there way back when. You could argue the same thing with musicians getting their foot in the door, same as other artists also. You call them musicians and art-like, but to avoid this, you need to apply a title to established streamers, I'd say. Yeah, that's fair. That's a fair comparison, I think.
Anything here. And that's why length is a poor metric to go off to judge quality. It's my video with the most views. It's my video that is the longest. You would expect it to be the highest quality, but it simply isn't. The only way to judge quality is you yourself judging it. Fact check people when they say shit, or else you'll internalize opinions that are just wrong. Now you're spreading lies on the internet. Now, hold on a second. What about video essays that are longer than the source material? Why would somebody want to go out of their way and watch someone discuss something when they can just watch it for themselves and form their own opinions? Well, you see, this is why.
And today we go back to retrospectively review and compare elements of 3 of Nintendo's sports titles.
Don't fucking judge me, you do it too. Doesn't watching a 1.5 hour movie take so much effort? Why would I want to do that when I can maximize my free time by listening to someone talk about the same thing while playing a video game or taking care of some other task?
That we all do that. That's what I was kind of meant earlier with, like, you know, you find someone you kind of trust and you're like, yeah, this person kind of knows what they're talking about. I've heard them before and stuff like that. It's like, I don't got time to look into every single little thing, you know?
I have absolutely no source on this, and I'm going off of straight vibes, but I am certain that's how most people consume video essays. People do it to mine. I've done it to video essays of my own.
I wonder how many people do this to my stuff. Like, especially my longer form stuff, like not like a random like Rivals or Overwatch video. I'm talking like the playthroughs of games. You know what I mean? Like long stuff, or like podcasts, or like hour-long yap sesh, you know?
Friends, let's be real for a minute. I mean, yeah, I only spent hundreds of dollars on these visuals and spent an entire day making this.
I'm on your third monitor right now. I got relegated to third monitor duty. Dude, I pride myself as a second monitor streamer, and now I got kicked to the third monitor. Feels fucking bad, man.
Said, how about you go back to strip mining? This ties into a different point I'll get into later, but a lot of people have a tendency to throw a video like this on in the background just to give their brain something to do while they perform a trivial task. Now, nothing's wrong with this, but the second you start taking these opinions you internalize while getting a victory royale as fact is about where it becomes a problem. It just goes back on what I was saying a second ago. Watching long-ass videos to fill space in your head isn't an issue. It only becomes an issue when you start using it as a replacement and taking other people's opinions as your own. Like and subscribe if you only agree with me after I've said something about it. Look, I have tried to watch a movie while playing a game like Minecraft, and it doesn't work. So I understand somebody who wants to be double entertained seeing this as the easiest option. Oh wait, I'm sorry, I meant to say the laziest! Internalizing opinions through both of these means just makes it easy for misinformation to get spread. Watch my hour and 15-minute long video about why Minecraft isn't as good as Terraria, and my opinion is now yours. You don't have to put in any of the brain power that is required to make an opinion, just listen to me, I know what I'm talking about. Okay, I could just sit here and lambast my older videos all day.
I don't know if that's totally the same. I get what he means. I think there's absolutely, like, the overall premise is the same. I think it depends on what, right? Like, I think context kind of matters. Like, for example, like if I wanted to go play Apex or I wanted to catch up on Apex, there's certain Apex creators I would go look at and see what they've been saying. If I wanted to catch up on Valorant, I'd go look at certain Valorant creators and go catch up what they're saying. I wouldn't just like a variety channel. Like I just wouldn't, right? But there's a much deeper hole that I think of immediately when he said that, which is why I'm like, oh, you know, I see what you're saying, but I'm also kind of like, because I feel like a lot of people do that with like more real issues with life, you know, like more modern day news issues, if that makes sense. If you kind of get what I'm picking up, what I'm putting down, people do that. That's, I think, where you kind of get into the uh-oh territory. I don't think it's so bad for video games or stuff like that. I think that's honestly not that bad at all.
But there is a significantly stronger and more prevalent example of this exact thing. The most infamous example of a video that spreads misinformation, you probably saw this coming if you're in the video essay space, Lily Orchard's Steven Universe video. What can be said that hasn't already been
Chat, what is this? I need a knower to explain this to me. Unless he talks about it.
This video masquerades itself as an in-depth review of Steven Universe, when in reality, it's 2 hours of propaganda trying to make you hate a person who did nothing wrong. I didn't actually watch the video for this one. It spreads lies, misinformation, and when it's trying to do actual analysis,
it's a really bad video.
If this was uploaded today, it would get immediately lambasted as the borderline hit piece that it is. But this wasn't posted today, and for way too long cemented how people viewed Steven Universe, despite the fact most of it was incorrect. But that fact doesn't matter, does it? It was 2 hours long, so people took it as gospel. People who had seen the video had now been turned against the show they hadn't even—
It was one of the most disingenuous video essays. Okay, this is where I admit to you I don't watch a lot of video essays, other than like stuff I've watched on stream. I have my own interests on things, especially off stream. Like it's probably just be boring to you. So maybe I just don't get that space as much.
Seen, and because of how popular it got, public reception of Steven started to sway. Steven Universe began to be seen as nothing but cringe and poorly written when it's neither of those things. Probably, you should go out and form your own opinion. That's what I'm getting at, though. People watched what was blatant misinformation, started spreading that opinion, and then people who hadn't even seen the video started dunking on the show based off of the misinformation from a video they didn't watch. I would know. I was one of those people. This video serves to show what
that's
is
actually
just about
so
the
interesting.
worst case scenario.
So, okay, I understand the motivation behind this video then, because yeah, that's dog shit. That's annoying. Also, assuming people know how to critically think is probably one of my biggest flaws. I probably do that a little too much as a streamer, as a person, you know? I always assume that as long as you give people relevant information, they will be able to draw a good conclusion. That is not true. Sometimes, though, it's also tough because sometimes you just have to accept that even if you present them with all logical information that you think will bring them to the right conclusion or you think to the correct conclusion, there's nothing you're going to do because they just think that they came to the same conclusion you did, but they just think it's wrong. So they're not going to go to it. They're going to go to something else because they think that's right. So like even with the same information, you think, or in this case, I will think like they're going to come to this conclusion because it seems the most correct.
You assume people think at all.
But it's just not, it don't work that way. And understanding you're not always going to be able to get through is a tough pill to swallow. But that doesn't mean you should stop trying. At least I don't think. That's why I always tried it. You know what I mean? Like, for example, that's why I was arguing with that random Rivals chatter earlier, because even though the opinion was so outlandish and kind of stupid, I guarantee you, you know, in a chat full of thousands of people, there's at least a few other people that shared the opinion. At least. And maybe by at least seeing everybody in chat reacting, going being like, oh my God, what is that guy on? And then them kind of making a fool of themselves while we walk through like, hey, no, like, I think this way because this, and this, and showing evidence for it. And they just kind of like just spam L stupid, you know, you're an idiot. It just kind of makes them look bad. And it might make them think in the future, hey, you know, I agreed with that guy and that guy kind of looked like an asshole. Maybe this isn't the right thing, you know? That also could be another.
Fine. This right here is why it's important to form your own opinions instead of just listening to what other people have to say. Because other people's opinions are just that. Other people's opinions. It doesn't matter how much research it looks like they did or how thorough they are. At the end of the day, you should be the final say in what you like. But damn man, these make it seem enticing to believe them. For the next part of this video, we need to talk about every YouTuber's favorite topic. Give me an A, give me an L, give me a... algorithm. Yeah, I'm sorry, we need to talk about the YouTube algorithm. Which of these two titles do you think you are more likely to see appear in your recommended? Marvel's Avengers isn't a horrible game, but is pretty generic and isn't that good either.
Yeah, you can't do that.
Or Marvel's Avengers should have been great. Marvel's Avengers, why it was a disaster. Marvel's Avengers is still awful. 2023 review. This should not have been released in this state. Marvel Avengers review. Marvel Avengers game critique. An important disappointment. You get the point.
I actually experimented with this in Overwatch. I experimented with it for a while, because people would get mad at certain titles and stuff like that, even though like the opinion inside would be somewhat different than what the title says. It's like we tried to be much more mundane with them, and nobody would click on them. They just wouldn't. They just wouldn't get any traction. Well, hold up. Like how do you people say that they want that, but then they just don't watch it, right? And you can say it's the algorithm, and it is, partly, but if TikTok has taught me anything about content creation, is sometimes you need to look yourself in the fucking, like, right in the goddamn mirror, right? Maybe that piece of content wasn't as good as I thought it was. And it's just, it's a hard pill to swallow. But sometimes you can think, like, this is good, and it just doesn't go anywhere. And then people on TikTok would sometimes be like, you know, oh, it's just the algorithm. You have to just keep reposting it. And that sometimes can be true, but not that often. And I'm not saying full clickbait, right? We're not saying full clickbait. There's a difference between full clickbait and an exaggeration. But like you can't, like people sometimes say, for example, right? You ever like seen people's thumbnails? You know who actually was really good at this at first was Mr. Beast. Mr. Beast was like the innovator. If you look at like 2017, 2018, 2019, 2020, 21, 22, 23 Mr. Beast thumbnails, you will see his face is extremely over-exaggerated, and there's a reason for that. Because people clicked on those significantly more than a less expressive face. And there's data that backs that. Does this all matter? Of course it matters. It matters because the point that's kind of being made here is, do you have like a more mundane, like more middle ground, like, oh, like lukewarm types of titles and thumbnails, or do you go with something more exaggerated that gets people's attention? It's a battle for people to have to go through with content creation.
As humans tend to gravitate towards a video if it's more negative. That's just who we are, we love to hate. So it's no surprise that a video's title being overly negative would garner more attention, which completely evaporates nuanced discussion. I used Marvel's Avengers as an example because my brother played it and said it was pretty decent. Of course that was his opinion, which I'm now taking as my own, so you can now throw away the last 10 minutes of the video you just watched. But the point is, to him at least, it wasn't as horrible, spit in the face of God-worthy as people painted it to be. Did it under-deliver? Yes. Were a lot of people disappointed? Definitely. Do I personally think the character designs look like ass? But if the game is bad or not is to your own opinion. None of these people can or should decide that for you. Unfortunately, because of algorithms like YouTube's, the videos that get pushed more often than not are the ones that don't have nuanced discussion to them, but more so favor the ones that are either the high end or low end of opinions. X thing is a masterpiece, or Y thing is a disaster. That's not to say whatever people like this talk about aren't necessarily really good or really bad. What I'm saying is, though, is that having opinions only be positive or negative to appeal algorithms immediately squashes actual discussion. Okay, so let's say somebody makes their title really negative or really positive, but then makes the actual video the in-depth coverage. Unfortunately, that doesn't really help things either. If people see this massive influx of negative titles and thumbnails about something, even if they don't watch the actual videos, they're probably still going to internalize different pieces of media as...
That is actually true. I've made that mistake. I have absolutely done that, but I'm not sure what what is the other way to go, because otherwise just people don't watch it. So what do you do?
Bad or good based off of this alone. Of course, none of this...
That is absolutely true, though.
Be a problem.
I can't tell you how many times I've seen, or like just like random like out of place like thumbnails or something somewhere, and it's like, wait, that had nothing to do with what we're talking about.
Another way to experience the media these videos are about. I haven't actually played Marvel's Avengers. On top of the ability to throw a 1 hour long video discussing a 5 hour long game in the background, another reason I think stealing YouTubers' opinions is so popular because of the shortening attention spans. Playing a 20-hour game and thinking for yourself takes so much work, doesn't it? Don't you just wish there was an easier way? Of course there is, it's called cheating. Look, I get it. A lot of people don't actually have the attention span or
just have a blank white screen with the word blank.
Less so the time to sit down and actually go through movies or shows or games or books. But there's actually this really cool thing you can do called not talking about it. Like if you want to jump into a conversation about...
There is actually a very small subset of people though who can get away with something like stupid as that. Those are like your like moist criticals, I think. Like he doesn't even have like thumbnails like 90% of the time. It's just like a random ass photo.
Something you only have to cite for your opinion is somebody else's.
Unless you're at that level, you're kind of cooked.
Instead of you saying you know it's bad. But is that always the case? It's always better to go out and get your own thoughts on something instead of just listening to somebody else's. But Morbius, though. Okay, I'm gonna go off script for a second to deliver a random anecdote that happened to me literally recently that I just need to throw in here. So, you've all probably heard of...
Somebody called you an owl? That is fucking top tier bait, and I respect that, and because you said it, I'm gonna give you whoo.
Madam Web, the film sucked from what I've heard. And my mom heard the same thing, but she's a huge Marvel fan and wanted to watch it anyways to form her own opinion. She fucking hated it. Sometimes I think it's honestly okay to just take the word of random strangers. When practically everybody on the internet, no matter what website it is slamming something due to its quality, I think it's pretty okay to say it sucks. I haven't seen the film Madam Web, and I probably won't because I heard it's garbage. Do I know it's garbage? No, but am I going to waste 2 hours of my time answering that question? Fuck do you think? Honestly, I find it hard to blame people who run with others' opinions when they are so monumental like this. When everybody is saying that something is shit, is it really on you for believing them? Not everybody is made of time, so listening to the opinions of others on how you should spend it isn't always a bad thing. Not everybody has the willpower to sit through an entire movie or game, and they don't want to waste their time throwing it to a chance that's a good one.
You know what's funny? Concord mentioned. You know what's funny? If you find my first ever Concord gameplay, I gave that game an actual genuine shot. And I was like, it has potential, but there was a few things that were driving me up the fucking wall to the point where I would never play it again. Like, because the only reason I was playing it is because Emon was in a sponsored segment and I told him I'd play with him. But like, for example, there was a weird thing where every time I aimed to the right, my mouse would come off my monitor and click on my second monitor. So I could not go right. That was so game-breakingly stupid that it was driving me up the fucking wall. I wanted to scream every time it happened. And there was so many stupid things with the game, but like it had potential. And then when the video went out, people were like, thanks for giving this game a chance. Like, I'm tired of seeing everyone shitting on it. And then after like a week, the comments then changed on him to like, this game's fucking trash. How dare you say anything positive about it? I was like,
so
whoa.
I can see the perspective of
I was just saying it had potential. Yeah, it's bad though. Like, I'm not saying it's good. It's just...
You would want to just listen to somebody else's opinion and be done with it. I mean, all things considered, I'm a hypocrite here. My brother said Kraven the Hunter was good. I have a weird fucking brother, but I saw everybody on the internet saying it was bad, so I never gave it a chance. And I probably will never watch Kraven the Hunter because regardless of quality, I just don't really care about the film. But that's not the point. The point is, I think I lost the point. I think I've cemented both sides of the argument now. We have side A that is against the spread of misinformation and demands everybody form their own opinions, and side B that doesn't want to have their time wasted with something they wouldn't enjoy. Instead of choosing a side, I'm going to act like nobody's favorite political position and be more of a centrist on this one. What if both of these sides are valid? Yes, I definitely lean stronger towards side A, but I completely understand why somebody would be off to side B. But what is the best solution here? Both of them. Let's say something is getting unanimously praised across the board, like Astrobot for example. It is safe to say that it is a good game despite the fact that I have not played it.
Until you get to the Game Awards and it wins Game of the Year, then everyone says it's shit.
I am willing to listen to the unanimous vote, or a game like Cyberpunk 2077 at launch. Everybody hated it, so despite the fact I hadn't played it then, and haven't played it now, it's safe to say it wasn't very good. But what about a game like Cyberpunk again? People are now saying they fixed a lot of its problems and it's actually really good, while others are still saying it's bad. In an instance like this, I say it's best to trust your own word. Go out and play it or watch or read whatever seems to be getting mixed opinions and see if any of it's good for yourself. Video essays.
True. That is actually true. I like that. That's actually, you know what's funny? That's the Overwatch thing right now. That's the Overwatch discourse. That's when everyone ever asks me, oh, is Overwatch good? I say, just play it yourself. I don't even tell them anymore. I go, just play it yourself. You like it? Play it. If you don't like it, don't play it. That's it.
Essays here still have merit though. The YouTuber Skitty Bitty made a video about why they hated Tears of the Kingdom. At this point, I had already played and beaten the game, but still wanted to hear their perspective. And after I was done watching, I still liked Tears of the Kingdom. I understood a lot of their points and mostly agreed with them, but I still really liked it. And I wouldn't have gotten that perspective if I hadn't listened to its detractors and experienced it for myself, which is really what I'm trying to get at through this video. Critiques, video essays, and other people's reviews should refine an opinion, not define one. While I was writing this video, I was really self-conscious if it was pure dog ass or not, so I showed the script to two of my friends to ask their thoughts on it, and one of them actually gave a really good take on the whole thing.
God damn it, all it gave me was this fucking stool.
Hello, very good taker. I'm here to refine your opinions on this matter. What mattered? This matter. Matter of fact, the matter doesn't really matter. What matters is that my Butso Pascaccio talking about internalizing opinions here is wrong.
Okay, I'm sorry. Can any of you understand a goddamn word he's saying? No, not even slightly. Okay, I think it's fine. Just add some subtitles. No, not over me. What the fuck is wrong with you?
Okay, this part is something.
It's an inherently bad thing. You've been doing it all your life. That's how the human brain works. Much as the theoretical you I'm speaking to might like to believe otherwise, you didn't think up your political stance out of thin air. You heard it from someone else, and based upon how much those relate to things other people from way and not so way before that have told you, you've judged how much you agree with that. The important thing, if you ask me, is not to not internalize other people's opinions, but to listen to as many different perspectives as you can. Yes, be critical of what other people say, that should speak for itself, but be also critical of what you say to other people. Not just in the case of video game opinions, but in life in general. You don't know what prejudices you hold until the one being prejudiced tells them to you. You might disagree with someone, but you will never know why you disagree until you listen to their disagreement. Objectivity doesn't exist, at least not always. There's no human perfection, no truth by which we as a species can become forever happy with no.
Okay, now we're going down to like
but you can try.
Julius Caesar route.
As many opinions as you can to understand as best as you can. Internalize enough opinions, and you get to your own. And maybe you'll find that me and Gas really don't disagree at all.
Well, I actually do disagree with one thing there, and that is that I'm human perfection. But honestly, they make up a great
average Adam Warlock player. Well, no, that is actually an important point. That's why I do like listening to opinions that differ from my own. I think it's actually very, very important. I think if you are the type of person who doesn't at least listen, I'm not saying you have to agree with it, but if you don't at least hear it, if you're the type of person that constantly just like only listens to opinions that reinforce your own views, it's really dangerous. No matter where you are, that's really dangerous to do. It's actually why I sometimes enjoy listening to dumbass takes, like really dumbass ones, like the stupidest ones imaginable, because I can just go like, oh yeah, I can say without a shadow of a doubt, this is stupid. Here's why: X, Y, Z, 7, 4, 3 quintillion reasons. You know what I mean? That doesn't mean they're not allowed to have an opinion. It's not like they should be thrown in jail. But at the same time, though, there actually can be an opposite effect, where if you don't listen to those, they actually can get stronger over time. Because if like you shut those opinions off, / you don't listen to them, / you like don't realize that they're evolving, there might hit a point where they start to convince people around them that they actually are right, and you might not know why because you haven't been listening to them, you know?
Argument here. You're always going to get opinions from other people and stuff around.
What if we ourselves are the dumbass opinion? Exactly. That's another good point. Is if you're not listening to other ones around you, like I've had times where I've thought about something and I was like, yeah, this is probably true. And then I hear enough opposite takes and I go, you know what? They actually got a good point.
You. That's just how our brains work. It's your responsibility to make sure what opinions and values you hold are the truth. Misinformation and fake news is like wildfire nowadays. So if you have an opinion, no matter if it's from a YouTuber, you should make sure it's at least factual. You should define your own opinions, and you should let others refine them. I defined my own opinions on Tears of the Kingdom, and Skitty's video refined it. That's how I think more people should start approaching others' viewpoints on the web.
It's never happened to you, but to be fair, you're never wrong.
For what they are. Other people's perspectives. It doesn't matter that some random person didn't like Black Panther. That's completely valid. What matters is defining if you like Black Panther. Everybody's opinion should be taken with a grain of salt. Because sure, some people are out there purely to inform and share what they think, while others may have more nefarious intentions.
That is actually a really good point. That's actually a really good point.
So if there's one opinion you should take from a YouTuber, it's that you shouldn't believe everything you see. Doesn't matter how official it looks, everything's up for scrutiny. Wait, me saying that kind of invalidates the whole video, doesn't it? I mean, like I'm a YouTuber telling you how to have opinions.
I was gonna say.
Hey, you made it to the end of the video. That's so sexy. If you want to be like one of these cool and epic people you see off to the right, I have memberships you can join for like $1. Or if you're poor, you can just subscribe.
He repeatedly says that other people's opinions are important and you need to listen, but then says it doesn't matter if someone else didn't listen like the movie. It only matters if you like it. You didn't listen to the entire video. I'm having a feeling on that. I don't know how that was confusing. I'll explain it to you in 1 second.
I will be hitting 10,000 by
it is over. I'll explain it to you. It's very simple. Their take was that you were here for the whole thing. All right, that's a little concerning because they literally covered both sides. They said there's two sides to it. The first side is that you don't ever take anyone else's opinion. You always form your own, which means you do your own research. You let's say this movie sucks. You don't take their opinion. You go watch the movie themselves and you go see if the movie is good. It's not contradicting. It is life. I don't know how this is a hard one because on the opposite side are the people who do listen to other people's opinions or like, for example, YouTuber opinion. And so the argument for doing that is you don't have time to consume every piece of media, every single thing on the entire planet. You don't have time for it. It's not possible. So on some level, you have to either find people that you kind of trust or find people that will explore something. And for example, Concord, right? Like everyone said Concord sucked. You're probably not going to go try Concord. Why go try a game that nobody likes and everyone says is bad, right? Unless you're literally just want to see how bad it was. People will listen to those opinions because they'll be like, yeah, I'm not going to waste my time on it. Both of those schools of thoughts are valid. That was the whole point of the video. They literally said it. They actually said it out loud. They said they had a bit of more of a bias. So the first one, you should always try to do your own research. You should always try to form your own opinion and use others' opinions to refine your own opinion. However, though, you cannot knock people that also will use those other opinions or those YouTube videos or whatever it might be, TikToks, etc., to gather an opinion on something or at least understand how something works because you cannot do it all. It's impossible. You do not have enough hours in the day. It would be genuinely impossible, especially at how fast the world evolves. The end point was he's trying to say, like, just keep your mind open. Don't only listen to one opinion. Try to be open-minded. Try to be someone who you don't have to shy away from listening to other people's opinions, and don't shy away from them and saying like, oh, I should always figure it out myself. It's okay to listen to other people's opinions. Go, yeah, this is there's a lot of people that agree with this. It has some truth to it, but don't let it define you to the point where you're like going around spreading that consistently. It's okay to believe it, and it's okay to be like, hey, this is pretty trusted, and this is how a lot of people feel. However, though, you also have to use some critical thinking because sometimes there's a difference between someone who just is sharing their opinion, and sometimes you'll disagree, and someone who has a nefarious motive where they're legitimately trying to convince people to do something that is untrue. It is a complex series of thoughts, but at the same time, if you try to only digest them in individual pieces, you're going to get very confused. You have to be able to digest it all at once. And if you can't do that, I don't know. Those types of videos might be just a tough swallow. Discernment is key. That is a great way of putting it.